Welcome back to Delivering More, folks. I'm your host, Ben Alkire. Thank you so much for consuming the content morning, afternoon, or evening. We appreciate you. As always, if you could, hit that subscribe button down below. That's going to help us out more than you could ever know. I have a beautiful Meet the Team to bring you folks again today. I have Director of Operations. What's your title nowadays?
VP of Operations.
Vice President.
Wow.
Vice President of Operations, Christian Hilty in the building, getting a little head nod from Jim to get that mic up towards the mouth a little bit.
Yeah, I know how to do that. Perfect.
There you go. Yeah, we navigate a little bit.
Thanks, Jim.
How are we doing today, Chill?
Great. I'm nervous, dude.
Yeah?
The podcast has come such a long way. I think I did a hot dog eating contest and a Meet the Team really early on.
Yeah.
The hot dog contest was legendary.
That was electric.
If you haven't seen it, we're going to have another one this July 4th, right?
Oh, my God.
We're running it
is
back?
July 4th already.
Wow. Yeah.
We'll have to record that
Yes,
this
it
week.
is.
ASAP.
We have to record that
Maybe
now.
Maybe tomorrow.
I'm in.
We actually do. Oh, I didn't
And
even
we're going
think
to
about
Dollar
it.
And a
Dog
dollar
night
dog
tomorrow
night. Someone's
night.
going to be feeling
Oh.
like trash.
Oh,
Like trash.
Followed by
And-
Dollar Dog.
And you guys saw I just destroyed everyone last year. And Phil's been talking
It wasn't even
smack
close,
that he's ready to roll and he's going to beat me this year. There's no chance.
Oh, man.
There's no way we can do it tomorrow if we're going to dollar dog
We might
night.
not have a choice.
I'll do it.
Oh, no, wait. We have one more week in June.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do it next week. We're going to have to plan that out, though. We do have to do it. I'm happy that got brought up. We got to do take 2 hot dog eating contest.
Absolutely. But I haven't been on since then, so now the podcast is like legit. I'm
Yeah, we
excited.
got a new backdrop. How do you think
Yeah.
it's looking over here?
It looks great. Yeah, I think we brought this for the food on demand, and now it's just made its way into the office. It looks great over here.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Well, yeah, I appreciate you joining me on the set again for a second Meet the Team. We're kind of just going to refresh a little bit, make things look a little nicer,
Cool.
go over some stories again. So it might be some stuff we're going to reiterate.
Yep.
But we'll start from the beginning, or start with everyone. And this is a good one for you because you're a little outlier.
Mm-hmm.
Where were you born and where'd you grow up?
I was born in Ohio. I was born in Wayne County, Ohio. Moved down to Charlotte when I was about 7. So I grew up just outside Charlotte, and then came back to Ohio for Ohio State, met the crew, and became a Jackson Polar Bear. Now I'm a Canton guy, I guess.
And how was your time down in Charlotte? So you were down there from, you said 7 to like 18?
7 to 18, yep. Always wanted to go back to Ohio State. I was just raised an Ohio State fan, so that's what brought me back. But I loved Charlotte. Still love the Carolinas. You got the beach, the mountains.
Oh,
You
yeah.
got everything you need.
And then when you went to Ohio State, were you already enrolled in like an ROTC program, or did you
Yep.
do that once you got to Ohio State? Did you do any of that in high school?
No, I had never done anything military-wise in my
Okay.
whole life. It was, hey, can someone pay for school? Let's figure it out. So it was like, you could try to go to the world's smallest school and see if you could play a sport,
Right.
or you could go do some drill in March. So
Hell yeah. And then while there, we got to bring him up just because even though he's not here anymore.
Of course.
Rick Mix.
Rick Mix.
Nicholas Mix. You meet Nick Mix
Yep.
while there. How did you guys didn't know each other previously?
Not at all. No, we met each other the first week during orientation, and I think both of us made some offhanded gray area comments to each other, and we were like, oh, your sense of humor is like mine.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, ever since probably first week of ROTC, it was like best friends right away.
Amazing. And I should go backwards a little bit just to get some clarification on your upbringing and everything. What kind of how big's the high school we're going to? What kind of you're a pretty small community, right?
Tiny. Yeah, I graduated with 92 kids. And then my first dorm I was in at Ohio State had 1,200 kids in just the dorm. So it was definitely a culture shock for me, just going from something so small to so big. But yeah, we were like 20 minutes outside Charlotte, and it was like you'd consider it the country. Yeah.
Okay. And then what about growing up? What was your first job? Did you have a job in high school growing up?
Yeah, I think I've had a job every second of life since like 15 or 16. And I started bouncing around between country clubs. So
Oh
I
you
I did a
caddied.
little bit
remember
of
you
I did a
saying
little
that.
bit of caddying. I was cleaning people's clubs, picking them up from their cars. So yeah, I've worked at country clubs since 16 all the way through college. I did the same thing.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, that's good money, right?
Yeah, great gig. The college country club, it's called Scioto. It was like a top 100 course in Ohio for
Right.
a while. You weren't allowed to accept any tips unless you were doing like caddy loops. So that always bummed me out because I was like, I know you guys want to give me money, but I just can't take it. I can't.
I mean, so at some point in time, someone slipped you something.
For sure.
And you took it
yeah.
though, right?
Yeah. Don't tell my old
Yeah,
boss. but
sorry,
yeah.
Scioto, whatever. We got to stick to Ohio State a little bit
'Kay.
because this is now your beginnings to what becomes your time with DeliverThat.
Yep.
And this is probably one of the better. Maybe I would say between you and Sade
One of the greatest.
are probably
yeah.
like the 1A, 1B origin stories with DeliverThat.
Yeah.
So I know we've talked about it before, but just run me through what you're doing beforehand,
Yep.
why you even start with DeliverThat, and then what ultimately happens to bring you onto the team.
Yeah. So it was my senior year of high school. At this point in college, I realized, hey, maybe the Navy stuff's not it, right? Didn't know if military was the route for me. So I get an internship doing some HR stuff. I was still working as a caddy and as a cart boy is what we'll call it at the country club. So I just had a couple random jobs. I worked at Panera for the summer before that. And it was the winter semester, like maybe around November. And at this point, I now start doing DoorDash, Uber Eats, Postmates was like my bread and butter. Postmates was going crazy in Columbus. And one of the guys at Scioto, I actually start talking to him, and he's like, "Hey, you should check out this thing called DeliverThat. My buddy runs Columbus area," and that's how I met Travis.
Yeah,
you remember Travis. So I met Travis. He's like, "Yeah, dude, you'll take larger orders. You know, you're not gonna get stiffed on tips as much as you would just delivering to like college dorms and stuff." And I actually lived like 2 blocks from a Qdoba we worked with at the time. And they gave you cash tips in the store. Then you got your direct deposit, and they gave you a free meal.
And a meal,
the free meals. We got to bring back the meals for the drivers.
Yeah,
but
we do.
So yeah, as soon as I took the first one on my own, and I got paid, I don't know, like a $70 tip plus the meal, and then I knew I was getting a direct deposit. I was all in from that moment. But to get myself set up, you have to go on a ride along, right?
Of course.
You got to get trained. So I go
educated,
onboarded. So I go, and I thought I was going to meet Travis, and I was just like, oh, cool. But I didn't know what catering was. So I dressed like as nice as I possibly could, was like terrified to even take my beater car on a catering delivery. It sounded so intimidating. And then I meet Aaron Hoffman, right? I meet the founder of the company. We had to go save another delivery because someone was no-showing one while we're on the first one. So between the first one and the second one, I was like, you really know what you're doing. And like, they called you out of the blue, and you're just sprinting.
Yeah, you're the guy.
You're the guy. How long have you been driving for these guys? And he's like, oh, I actually founded it. And I was like, whoa, okay, that's different. And at this point, we had to text each other. So unfortunate for him, or maybe fortunate for him, I had his cell phone number. So I'm just blowing him up all the time. Like, hey, I could make some animated videos, and I got a college buddy who does this. How can I help? How can I help? Just throwing out absurd ideas.
Any
right?
way you could get in.
Any way that I can help this guy, I'm trying to. So I remember like covering no-shows and leaving the gym in college. I remember watching Bring when we had Bring and trying to see what's going on with deliveries, because Travis would just call me and be like, hey, I need you to watch it for 2 hours, or there's a no-show. And I'd be like, okay, I'm in the middle of a pickup game. Can it wait like 10 minutes? No, I need you to leave right now. So yeah, I just kind of did everything that I could. Tried to sell to like a Brugger's Bagel down there, and then realized I was just like trying to sell Easy Cater at the time. I didn't know what we really fit into it. And then when I graduated, he gave me a call and was like, hey, we launched the West Coast. Do you want to go to Phoenix? I was like, yeah, let me quit 3 dead-end jobs, and I'll be there in 3 weeks, man. So yeah, that's how I heard about it and got started.
And so I guess it all obviously ends up working out in the end. But at the time when you've met Aaron, you've been driving on the platform for
half a year
or so.
Yeah, it was like November to May.
So in that span of time, then now you get asked to actually come on as you're still a contractor, probably getting paid like a couple $100 a week or something like that. They ask you to move out to Phoenix. Where's your mindset at that time? Are you like, hey, this is going to be a career for me? Are you like, hey, this is what I'm going to do for now? Where were you at then?
So I was all in on trying to be an entrepreneur myself, right? So my mind was always racing. How can I start a business? What's a business look like? Like, how can I do this? And at the time, we're only in a handful of cities. And I was like, well, this
probably less than 10 at that point.
I was like, this is perfect. I'm just going to learn, whatever's going on here. And there's only like 4 or 5 guys at the time. So it was easy to like meet everybody in the group me and stuff like that. Hadn't met many people face to face besides Aaron at this point. I'll never forget my first call with Darian in Phoenix and being like, oh, wow, that guy's really intimidating. I'm glad he does the sales. So I hope I can work with this guy more closely. But yeah, I mean, it was a huge gamble. A lot of people thought it was crazy that I was going to do something like that, because I was going to go be like the director of sports at a Boys and Girls Club around here. It was like I was applying for that at the same time this popped up. And so explaining it to my parents, like, hey, I'm going to pack up my car and move to Phoenix. And they're like, oh my gosh, like, what's your salary? I'm like, there is none. Well, what's the health insurance look like? There is none. I'm staying on yours, that kind of stuff. And then living in a hotel out there. I lived in a Quality Inn for maybe 3 weeks and was doing like some app surfing, trying to find somebody to sublease with. So yeah, I had just enough cash to stay at the Quality Inn, and luckily things took off and everything took care of itself. But yeah, there was some weird opinions tossed around in the family, my girlfriend at the time, stuff like that.
Yeah, a lot of people not really understanding what the decisions you're making are.
Yeah, and I just wanted to learn how do you run a business. This one's obviously at the ground floor right now. What can I get my hands? I remember like running the Instagram when I lived in Columbus and when I moved out to Phoenix, and it was like, yeah, everybody's just kind of picking up whatever they want to try to manage around here, and I was like,
yeah, just
I'll try everything.
Find a hat, put it on, and see if it fits.
See if it fits.
What so when you're out in Phoenix, you mentioned you're kind of there to launch the West Coast, I guess we'll call it.
Yep.
What exactly are your responsibilities out there? Are you going city to city? Are you talking to partners? Are you talking to drivers? What aspects of the whole business are you in?
Yeah, so Denver and Phoenix were really busy markets for us pretty much right away, right? I mean, anything that was big at the time for EasyCater was big for us. So Phoenix and Denver were taking off, and all day I'm calling drivers to get them set up on ride-alongs, either in Denver or in Phoenix. And if they're in Phoenix, they're doing the ride along with me. A, I'd love to teach drivers, but B, I got an extra $5 for every single ride along that I took. So I was just, during the day, it was like, okay, all the scheduled ride alongs that you have, go take deliveries with them, show them the ropes. And even when I didn't have ride alongs, it was like, how many caterings can I fit in?
Because that's you're getting paid still per delivery.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I took as many deliveries as I could during the day, and then the afternoons I would schedule ride-alongs in Denver or in Phoenix, and then going into the evening time, I was like the evening dispatcher, and that's when I was in your guys' world at the time, where I was just calling drivers, checking routes, CSR, and then I remember it was like $75 or something. We got to do the weekend shift,
right?
And so for the longest time, I just hoarded all of the weekend dispatch shifts. And I would just sit there playing video games, watching like 50 caterings happen during the day.
I got to bring this up because I think it was while you're out in Phoenix. It might be when you're in Columbus still, but give me the story real quick, the breakdown of, I think there's a miscommunication of sorts at some point in time, and you deleted jobs from the system or something along those lines. It basically thought you broke everything, woke up and like realized that you had done this.
Shit.
And Aaron is like going off. Run me through what happened then as far as you remember.
Well, I'll say this. I was terrified for my life when I woke up and thought, oh, I just brought the company down. Because at the time we're doing like 75 to 100 deliveries on a daily basis. And Dan Hoffman, Aaron's brother, sends me a text late at night, and I was the night guy out in Phoenix, and he's like, hey, go cancel all of these deliveries in Columbus for tomorrow.
Cancel them. That's what it was.
We don't have drivers for these. And it was like 8 or 10 deliveries. So we're talking like 10% of our volume for the next day. And I thought like the technology was where it is today, where
like
I could
you'd still have, what was canceled or something.
Like I thought I could just go into Bring, our logistics platform at the time, click cancel, and, EasyCater or Qdoba would know, okay, the delivery's canceled. DeliverThat's not showing up for this. Not the case. No one knew that we weren't showing up to these things. So by the time I wake up out on the West Coast, 8, 9 o'clock the next day after the night shift.
Just been the heat of lunch.
It's all the way through the lunch rush. We just no-showed 8 to 10 deliveries that I had canceled. And I'm like, oh, man. And it was like my second shift doing nighttime dispatch. I was like, I thought I could just Dan said cancel it. I canceled it. What do you mean? There's other steps? We didn't have SOPs. Nobody was like walking me through it like that. So I was terrified. And luckily at that point, and I always use this as a story for people today. It's like, hey, no matter what you do, you can't break the whole company.
Yeah.
We're going to keep moving on. This was as dramatic of something that could have happened that early on as possible. And as soon as I woke up, I think we were in Slack at the time. I finally messaged back and was like, guys, this was me. I did it, and I'm really, really sorry. My phone rings 2 seconds later, and Aaron's like, hey, man, there's going to be a lot of growing pains if we're going to do this together. So don't worry about it. All I need is every time something like this happens, you just raise your hand and say, hey, it was me, because nobody knew who did it. It was like, you did it. Who did this, right? And, yeah, I remember if he didn't handle it that well, as soon as my phone rang, I was like, oh, well,
I'm fired.
I'm not even an employee yet, but I'm canned. I'm done with this.
Oh, my gosh. Unbelievable. And then I guess we'll work our way then. How long were you out in Phoenix? A year or two?
It was about 2 years,
2
I want to
years?
say, because I think I came back real early 2020 and got out there in 2018. So
Okay.
yeah.
And then so how do you work your way back to Canton? And you come back to HQ. What do you remember? Were you director of operations when you moved back, or you were like transitioning into that, right?
Yeah, so I get a call from we had someone at the time who was very high up in the company, and he was going to be our chief of operations or something like that. And the plan was that he would kind of be the strategy behind the operations, and I would be the people side of the operation. So it's kind of in the works in the next couple months for me to get promoted as he gets promoted or transitions in the company. And I get a call on like a Thursday or Friday afternoon, and it was Aaron and John. They were both sitting together at the phone. And they were like, hey, we moved into this larger office. I hadn't seen this place yet, but we were in here. The whole dispatch team's over here, maybe 10 people at this point. They were like, hey, we let so-and-so go. He's not with us anymore. And I was like, what? That's a bombshell for me to hear. Like, do you want to move back and be the operations guy? Do you want to be the director of ops? I was like, guys, like, when do you need me? And they're like, as soon as possible. Like, you've done all the jobs. We just need you to sit out on the floor and like help the people. We're growing pretty quickly. And I was like, I'll be there Monday. So I literally spent the next day and a half packing up all my things back into the 4-door car. Luckily, I didn't have many possessions. And then just took back off home. And then I lived on the couch in here for a couple months.
Yeah, I think we've all slept on these couches a handful of times, to say the least. So I guess so that's when we get back. So that's right. We kind of all started. Well, not started, but that's when we all kind of first meet in the fall of 2020, I would say, is probably when you actually came back. And then in your perspective, from the fall of 2020 to where we are now in the summer of 2023, what were you focused on then as far as operations? And then what are you doing now? Is there a big difference? Were you more focused on the delivery side now, and now you're more people focused? Is it the other way around? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think there have been a lot of changes between then and now in like my function here. At the time, it felt like I was very focused on teaching people how to be great at dispatching and customer service, and really just playing like a GM plug-in where you need to, right? We had a handful of us sitting in a circle around here. Yeah. You were running point for the dispatch team. And it was like, if one person's out, you immediately have to do that job, right? So anytime someone was out, it was just like plug and play, right? And then we kind of went through my phase of like being very recruiting centric here, and very much just focused on the recruiting piece and how can we expand to other cities. And now I feel like it's gone full circle where I'm focused on both, but I'm removed enough where it's like, oh, we're down, a recruiting agent today, or we're down like a customer success agent. And it's not like, hey, you got to jump right into that. It's more big picture structure, strategy of the team. And Aaron's taught me tech the entire way. So now we're kind of divided into two sections here where we have a big tech team and a little tech team. And I would put myself on the little tech team for sure.
Small tree team.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, I think I honestly, I don't necessarily even know what you actually do day to day. So I don't even know like a poignant question to ask about that. But what would you say your day to day is? Like you said, your little tech team. Are you working on integrations and APIs? Are you working on how we onboard drivers? Is it things like that? What are you doing in the day-to-day aspect?
I would say everything for us is evolving to have all of the tech in-house. So I'm helping with that transition because Aaron and I have built so many of these things based on third-party technology. So now it's like translating things to the actual engineers that we've brought in to code things up, have our own API, our own databases and things like that. So it's a lot of like diagramming for that team. And then I would say a huge thing, mostly on the tech side of my role here, is managing Zendesk, right? Our CRM. Right. We just completed our first year and a half with them. So we're constantly building on top of Zendesk and how can we make it easier for drivers to support themselves. And then day to day for our agents that are taking calls, sending text messages, chatting with drivers, emailing with drivers, and doing the live monitoring of deliveries. How do we make that easier for them? And right now, everything revolves, whether it's big tech, little tech, it's all touching Zendesk for us. And yeah, so most of my day is spent doing something that branches off of Zendesk or managing people.
Hell yeah, just making things easier to do.
Make it faster.
Either on the platform or in the office.
Yep, that's it.
All right. Nice. Well, I that's all I got as far as the background spec. Do you have anything you want to talk about? Anything you want to bring up? Anything? I'm trying to think where we could take it from here, or we can just go to this or that and we can clean it up.
Yeah, we could go straight to this or that. I do want to just call out, as you and I were reflecting on me moving back here, I just remember that we were all on those Chromebooks. And if somebody told me what's the biggest difference between then and now, I would say it was the stinking Chromebooks. Because I remember sitting with Tristan, and he's full-blown engineer with us now, but he was a great dispatcher at the time, and he would go, and then he would take a step back, and we were just getting to know each other, and he would look at me and be like, this is our problem. And we would just wait for the computer to catch up to all the actions he
and
just
figure
did.
it out. Yeah.
And I just think it's crazy to think that, yeah, our big tech has expanded, but even just the hardware we're using in the room, it was like $100 Chromebooks because it was the cheapest thing we could get, and it couldn't even handle our couple hundred deliveries every day. So
yeah, facts.
That's been so crazy to reflect on because I haven't thought about this Chromebooks in a long time. So many of them too. We have so many
we
floating
still
around
have
for
stacks
so
of
long.
them. Yeah, they're still out there somewhere for sure.
They're still good for a Google Hangout every now and then.
Yeah, they're not bad. They get the job done. All right. Well, we'll move it right along here. We'll close it out with this or that.
I'm so excited.
For Christian, we're going to start it out where we always do with everyone. Early mornings or late nights?
Early mornings, for sure. Not even a question. Yeah, that's the easiest one we'll have.
I know you're not a big sleeper, I think, sometimes. Sometimes someone could call you at 3 a.m., you're going to be up. Someone could call you maybe at 9 p.m. and you're still up.
Yep.
So how do you manage that? How do you still come in here every day ready to go?
Yeah, I think in my ideal world, I'm going to bed sometime between 8 and 9 and waking up between 3:30 and 4:45 in the morning. So that's like I'm perfectly hitting my stride. That's the right amount of sleep and the perfect times for my body. But that being said, I feel like there's so many sprints that we go through. So it'll be like, oh, for 2 weeks, like, what is sleep? Like when you really like what you do and there's enough of it to do, you just kind of find time. So yeah, I don't know. You read your body and you figure it out.
Yeah, hey, keep it moving. All right. We'll keep moving right along. How about dogs or cats?
Great question for this man.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't rehearse for that one. I'm gonna go cats. I'm gonna go cats. Very tough decision. I have 2 dogs and 1 cat, but I will say that I feel like you have to earn the respect of your cat, and I love the unconditional love that my dog Thor gives, but I have to really earn that from my cat, and something about that, I just like it.
Okay. I'm not a big cat guy, but I'll believe you. I'll take your word for it. What about summers or winters?
I'm going to go summers. Here, especially here in Ohio. I think I really value the summer. We have like a 2-month stretch where things are really nice, and we love to golf.
Yeah, Yeah, we like getting out there. And yeah, right now this is like
peak season.
Yeah, this is prime time.
Yeah.
Yeah, facts. All right. What about, I like this one for you too. This is a good one. Books or movies?
Definitely books. But I will say I feel like audiobooks are like a hybrid of movies and books. So that's where I sit. There's always an audible going on in the car.
And I think 15 people at some point in time have been logged into your Audible account within
whole
the
company
office.
still has it. Yeah.
So run me down like your top 3 audiobooks.
I love Think Like a Monk. That was a great one. I like Atomic Habits, and then we'll say Extreme Ownership. I feel like that's what all this was built on.
Jocko.
Yeah,
hell yeah. All right, I can respect that. And we're gonna close it out here. Last one I got. How do we feel about cooking at home or going out to eat?
I actually love cooking at home. And now that I have a Sam's Club membership, shout out to Sam's Club. Shameless plug here. I'm cooking at home all the time. I thought I was going to save a ton of money with the Sam's Club membership. Now you walk in, you walk out, and you've spent $250, but I'm cooking all the time, and I love it.
Nothing like buying a gallon of barbecue sauce.
Yeah, nothing like it.
Sweet baby Ray's.
I have a basement now, so I can justify it to myself.
Store
it'll be downstairs.
Yeah, we'll find it. We'll use it later. Yeah. What is a favorite dish to cook?
So I use the Blackstone a ton and make grilled chicken or hibachi. And then I would say my other favorite thing is making like stuffed shells, like getting a nice 5 cheese blend going, stuffing some shells and then baking them. Yeah, I love that.
Interesting. Okay. I like it.
We've known each other a long time, but you're learning some things.
Yeah, stuffed shells. That was out of left field. I didn't see stuffed shells coming at all. All right, man. Well, I appreciate your time. It's always a good time when you and I get to sit down together. It's been a journey, man.
Yeah.
So
it's been fun.
I'm very appreciative of everything you've done for the company, everything we've developed outside of the company as well. We have built up a great friendship, man. So I appreciate you, and we'll talk to you very soon.
Heck yeah. And shout out to all you've done with the podcast. I never thought it would get here, but here we are, baby.
Yeah. Hey, we're here, man. Thank you so much.
Yep. Talk to you soon.